Hi everyone, happy Black History Month. It's the month of October. I am so excited. I've got some amazing interviews lined up for you to celebrate Black Achievement this month. So I've got two amazing authors from the UK, I've got a young teenager from New York, and I've got some amazing men here in Dubai. Now, I was inspired interviewing these people, and I want to share their successes and their stories with you so that you can also be inspired and go out there and achieve and be the best that you can be. So I'm going to release the interview every Sunday. So please press the notification button so that you will know when I release the interview. So that would be every Sunday this month of October. So please do join me and be inspired. Hope to see you. Bye. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first time, hello, hi, welcome. My name is Tommy. I'm a teacher by profession, but I'm also a photographer. I like stories, I like meeting people, I like talking to people, conversing with people, because you never know if somebody has the key to your answer. If you have a look around where we are, that should give you a little bit of a clue into what we're going to be talking about today. I would like to say a big thank you to New Bookstore. They've allowed us to come in here and to do this. So thank you so much. If you are in the London area, please do stop by. This place is amazing. They have an incredible selection of books here. So please do come. Say hi to Vivian. She's amazing and she'll make you feel right at home. So joining me today is the lovely, the amazing Sade Fadipe. I mean, look at her. Look what she's wearing. She looks like a princess right now. She looks amazing. And I can tell you so are her books. So we're going to talk about being an author in the UK and writing books for children. So before we get into that, can you tell us something exciting about you?
Okay, so she's told you who I am by name. I'm a mother to two daughters. One's 22, the other one is 17, and also a wife to a very supportive husband. Something exciting about myself. I used to live in the rural grounds of Rovenden, and we spent our childhood out on the fields. And that's probably why my books have an outdoorish feel.
Okay, moving on to books. We're going to get quite deep talking about being an author today, because you actually have published a book. Can you tell us about the books that you've published?
Well, the first book that I published was published by Cassava Republic Press. It's titled A Fun ABC here in the UK, but it's also called A Visit to Grandad in the USA, and it's had its own journey. I started writing it when I was sojourning in Nigeria, working on a reading project and thinking the kind of books they've got around don't reflect them. So I thought, I have to do something, and that was how A Fun ABC came to be.
How many books have you published now?
Well, I've had one book that's had 3 different journeys, which is A Fun ABC for ages 4 to 7, and a chapter book, which is for ages 9 to 12, which is more like a war story feel. It's got a feel about, you know, empathy, that kind of more towards older children.
Okay, so your first book is A Fun ABC, which is actually that one. Can you tell us about the journey of this book?
It's had a journey. I first scripted it in 2009, but it didn't get published until 2016.
Wow.
And so we had different challenges with it, most especially with illustrations. My publisher, Cassava Republic Press, wanted somebody who could capture the essence that I had shared with them. And I think sometimes it's nice to have a relationship with your publisher, if you're traditionally publishing, so that they have a sense of your background and how you want that to portray you and your book. And A Fun ABC does that perfectly.
So I've actually read it, and it's a lovely, amazing book about a little girl's, you know, journey. So If we open the book, what do you expect to see inside of it?
So you'd think that it was a concept book, an ABC book, but it's actually a story that has a plot. So there are characters, there's a plot, there's structure, there's rhythm, rhyme, and there are hidden pictures in between. I think that's probably one of the things that keep children engaged, is the fact that they keep finding more and more things in the book each time they open it. And I look at it sometimes, I go back and still find things that I hadn't discovered before. So it's a puzzle, picture, story. So
can I just say, for all of you budding authors out there, writing a picture book, it's actually harder than you think. So I embarked on that journey some 4 years ago, and I'm still there. I'm not finished yet. So can you tell us what the journey is like from when you actually have an idea and to it getting printed? Because it seems like it's fairy tales. Oh, you just have an idea, put it on paper, get it. Someone likes it, you get it published. It doesn't work like that. Like, now I know that. So can you give us a journey of how it happens?
I think the key thing is to have an idea. Start with an idea, and once you scripted that idea or illustrated it, because even if you're not fantastic at drawing, there's something within you that might want to express it in your own scribbles. You can call them scribbles. Once you've gotten that idea, write it down and then flesh it out. I'll give you an example. When I first wrote a fun ABC, it was A4, B4, C4. And then I thought, months later, there's nothing new. The only thing that's new about it is the cultural context. Is the fact that, okay, maybe people don't know about a lantern or mosquito net or, masks. So the cultural content was there, is what I infused. But as time went on, I kind of thought I could add a bit more to this. I could create a character. And so the characters evolved. And then I thought this character could actually have a journey. And so the plot evolved. And so the structure, and so it didn't just become a concept book, it became a concept story book.
Right.
And every story has structure, which is the beginning, the middle, the end, conflict in between. And so you've got to think about all those technicalities that you need to showcase in a proper book.
Why are some people published and some people are not published? Even though they have the same, they have a great idea, they have the structure, they put it down, but then their book is not picked up by these publishing houses and they're not published. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
Oh, that's a huge question, and there could be many reasons. So when you point towards the publishers, you might want to look at yourself first. Does it match whatever is in the market? Does it beat what's in the market? Has it been well edited? Has it been illustrated? Not just with fixed illustrations, but is there perspective within the illustrations? What's going on with your illustrations? So there's so many aspects to why a book may not be perceived as fit for the market. There could also be the issue of how does this relate to your life? Because a book is not just a book, it's also about the person, the individual. What's your story as an individual? What connections can you make to this book that reflects you? So a good example with a fun ABC. Why did I write it? I wrote it because for starters, I'd gone to live out in Nigeria for a bit with my children, and the kind of connections that I had when my parents took me out weren't there. We were living in the city, in high gates, lovely houses. And so I was very intentional about showing my children the ruralness that still exists within the society, beyond the facade. There's still that rural element, and I was quite intentional about it. But also there were children that I was working with and I was working on a reading project in Nigeria, and I had quite a bit of money to purchase and to buy books. And so in terms of picture books, I found the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, 3 Billy Goats Gruff, 3 Little Pigs. I kind of thought, these are good, but where are the picture books? I found very few. The ones that I found, I wasn't inclined to put them in the classrooms because, you know, first of all, I had a background in teaching here in the UK, and I wanted them to see themselves in books. And as you can tell from the book cover, they're represented.
Yes, yes. Talking about, you know, if you have a look at the book cover, the context is black, you know, children and black experiences, especially from Nigeria. Yeah. How did you feel about putting this book out here in the UK market?
No one's ever asked me that question, but that's the one thing that set me back slightly psychologically, especially because I hadn't written it for children beyond Nigeria. My mind was fixed on them. I wanted them to have the book. I wanted, you know, I had no plan of it coming out with me when I relocated back home. Not to talk of it going across to the United States and being nominated for a Caldecott Award.
We're going to talk about that later.
I did not have that dream. And so I think probably for the first year, I had what we might call imposter syndrome. Thinking the book didn't belong here in the UK, it didn't belong in the USA, it belongs in Nigeria. And that had, sometimes I do know that people ask that question with it, you know, probably not publicly like you have. So it's quite a valid question. All children need to be represented in books. And all children need to see other children represented in books. They need to see themselves in books. And, you know, when the children that I wrote this book for, when they grab a copy of this book, you can see I've experienced them holding the book and their eyes popping. It's not about affluence, it's not about the high in society, it's not about the middle class, it's about them in their ruralness, seeing themselves in a book. And you know, I can't take that joy away from them.
Okay, so one of my favorite books, and I absolutely read this to every, you know, all the classes that I've taught over the years, is by Elaine Brown, and it's Hand of Surprise. And I just love that book because it's vibrant, it's colorful, it talks about African animals, it talks about friendship, it talks about, you know, you learn different fruits as well. You know, to me, that is what a picture book, you know, is all about as well. It's the fact that a child can grab that book and through the illustrations kind of understand what's going on in the book. What do you think?
It's also about representation, isn't it? You know, but there have been some criticisms in terms of, and I think this happens with the Fun ABC as well. People would rather that I showcased the vibrancy of life in Nigeria, the fact that you know, people live in posh houses, they do have light, they have electricity, even though it's being powered by themselves. They don't need to go all the way to the village to fetch water. So there are criticisms about it, but my journey is to showcase the unheard voices. Other people can do the other bits. When the 1, 2, 3 comes out, it's almost in that same nature as well. So
why do you think people should spend their money to buy this for their kids?
With the school visits, the library events, the festivals that I've attended, every time I present a Fun ABC, I'm taking children on a journey to a country in West Africa, and you can't buy that with money. I'm taking you on a free journey. You learn about the culture, you learn about the food, you learn about the setting, you learn about the names. There is so much to learn, and it's all for £6.99 at the worst, £7.50.
So this book actually got nominated in America. Can you tell us about that?
It did, and it's funny because I just stumbled on this online, you know, so sometimes you never know what's happening to your book. I came across a post and, you know, I googled a Fun ABC, and then I googled a visit to Grandad. I came up with this website in which it was showcased as one of the books nominated for a Caldecott Award in the USA. Now the Caldecott Award has been around since 1934, and that's probably the earliest book award that is known. And I thought, oh wow, this is huge, and this was a nomination. And a couple of weeks later, I had a look on the same website and noticed that there was a category of books, and there were 10 books, and a Visit to Grandad was one of the 10 books, in which they said because the authors are either not resident in the USA or not, or the publisher is not based in the USA, we have a category called the Mock Caldecott. And so, you know, it was one of the books, one of the 10 books selected for the Mock Caldecott Award. And, you know, considering that I wrote this book to stay back in Nigeria, not just back in Nigeria, stay back in Abuja, the FCT, not even the capital, but the rural parts of the capital, like Gwagalada, Chukuku, places you've never even heard of. It was for them. I didn't think it had any business being in the world, but I was proved wrong.
Wow, that's the power of when you have a story. You've got to stick with it. It doesn't matter how many knockbacks you get, it doesn't matter. This leads me to this question. What advice do you have for aspiring authors? One thing I've noticed as well is there's a lot of children authors nowadays as well. I mean, children are coming out with books, bestsellers, which is amazing. But for anybody who's out there, wherever you are on the continent, Africa, you know, where you feel like, oh, my voice maybe will not be heard, America, wherever you are, what advice do you have for that person, people watching right now who want to get their story heard?
The first thing I'd say is be true to you. Make it your own story and bring it out. And especially because a lot of people, like you said, are churning out books. Sometimes there's a tendency to want to do things because other people are doing it. But along the way, you will be challenged by those decisions. And so the truth is about you. Be true to yourself, search your inner depth, bring out that story and showcase it to the world in the best way you can. In the best way. Seek the help, pay for the help, pay for an editor, pay for an illustrator, pay for it to, you know, or go through the traditional route, put it out to agents. Let other people assess your work, because if other people assess your work and give you feedback, then you know that you've got something to work on.
So you've written this amazing book, which, you know, as a teacher, I'm going to take back to my class in Dubai and show them the richness of West Africa, Nigeria to be specific, because I think it opens a new world to children who, you know, they've never experienced things like you said, mosquito nets, and you know, that's the power of storytelling. So I wanted to talk about, wanted to ask you about, you know, in the UK, black authors are underrepresented. There's some very successful black books out there, but not enough. How do you think that could be addressed?
I think the first thing that you want to think about is the few books that we do have, are they currently in schools? Are they in libraries? Are they being showcased in public spaces like this? Or are they being shoved to the corner? Representation is important, and I think it's also important that we have authors like ourselves, like myself and yourself as an upcoming author, to find avenues in which we can showcase ourselves. We had this conversation yesterday, and we said, why not use a bookstore? And you phoned the Newham bookstore, and you got, you know, it's just like you have to, sometimes you have to ask for things. You've got to put yourself out there, and just make sure that you are seen. I think, you know, I can't emphasize it enough, because there are agents looking out, there are publishers looking out, there are libraries looking out for you. Put yourselves out there. Do we have enough black authors? Statistics are quite poor, quite low, but could it be that we're not actually capturing the self-published products as well? How many self-published, indigenous, independently published books are going into those statistics? That's what I would like to know.
That's a very good question. And the thing is, I want to talk about self-publishing as well, because there are some success stories out there of people who have gone through the self-publishing route. But like you said earlier on, it takes the hard work. It takes you researching, you knowing the industry in and out. What are the needs? What are the wants? You know, in terms of illustration, those key things are very important, you know, for you to get your book out there and for someone to pick it up. You never know who could. You know, and a vlogger could pick it up. We live in an information age now. Your stuff could be out there just like that, but you have to do it. You have to do it. Thank you so much for sitting with me, Sade. I hope somebody out there, you've been inspired to, you know, go out there and just try. So how can they get in contact with you? So if they want to join Kiddie Writers?
Through my Instagram. I think that's the best way. I like to know who I'm connecting with, so you know, contact me through Sade's Book Zone on Instagram. Just send me a private message and we'll get back to you.
Yes, trust me, you will not regret it. I feel so blessed having met Sade, because I've learned a lot about traditional publishing and self-publishing as well. So if that's your dream, that's what you want to do, please get in contact. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Instagram, thank God, is just like you've reached the person. True. And then, you know, you can get connected. And also, please go and buy this amazing book. Share it with your children. As a teacher, I can tell you that this is something that I would read to my kids and they will light up. I learned a lot about you know, how different my life is from the children, from the people who live in this kind of society. So it's just amazing just to have a look through and, you know, the language that's used, new vocabulary to discuss with the children. This is just a learning tool right here. Okay, so please go buy it, support Sade, support all the other authors out there, and yes, get connected. Thank you so much for chilling with us. Good morning, good night, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much. All the inspiring authors out there, go out, start writing, believe in yourself, and get connected.
Connect.
Bye.
Bye-bye.